Well, looking at today's forecast, the wind was forecast to be coming from the northwest and looking like a really good day to the east of the country in terms of thermals. So we had a look at it, we had a look at various places to go that take a northwesterly direction. Bradwell in the Peak District is a really good place, but there's less distance that you could fly from there, bearing in mind the forecast, and also the forecast did not look quite as good in that area. So we also looked at a place called Carlton Bank, which takes a west-northwest. So we decided to go to Carlton Bank because Carlton Bank is to the north of the country and enables you to fly down the eastern side of the country, just fly north to south. And we set a goal that was 175 kilometres to Skegness, which is on the east coast further south, which is a really ambitious goal, but the forecast looked really good. So we've come out and we've gone to Carlton Bank and found that the wind is more to the north than we expected, so it's sort of north-northwest. Now fortunately there is another ridge, and we did anticipate this, there is another ridge near to Carlton Bank called Model Ridge, which is this ridge where we are now. This takes a northerly, north-northwest, so the wind here at the moment is pretty much smack on. It's bang on the hill, maybe slightly off to the left. It's quite strong and blustery, and the sky, as you can see, he's not looking like a blinking 175 kilometre cross country day to me, but we're going to give it a go. We'll just take off and fly and see how it goes. So the aim will be to take off, get up. We've still got the goal programmed in. If we manage to go across country, great. If we manage to get to Skegness, fantastic, which will be a miracle, but you never know. So we're going to give it a go, and this is just to let you in a little bit on our cross-country planning and how we think our thought processes are going with it. You may have different thought processes. You could look at it and say, well, you should have done this or you should have done that, and I'd like that kind of feedback. If you can see how we can do better, then let us know. But for now, we're going to sign off. Me and Steve are going to have lunch, and then we're going to take off and have a go. Thank you. Thank you. A bit rough and horrible. Not a very pleasant takeoff at all, and it's a bit rough in the area.
That was tricky to get around. I've decided that was actually a thermal because it's disappeared right now. Oh no, it's back again.
it's rough and horrible. It's quite breezy as well. Well, it's a bit nicer higher up. There's plenty of thermals about despite how it looks. Just need to try and stay with this now. It's turned a bit weak. Could be a very short flight if I don't stay with this thermal. I think I'm going to head back to hit rage again. Seem to have lost it. So that's Bottle Ridge. Ideally, we'd like to leave this hill at cloud base. So today I've got my bar mitts on. That's these blue things on the bar because it's blinking freezing. And we anticipated it being blinking freezing. So I got my bar mitts. It's a struggle to get my hands in them though with these gloves on, but my hands are not cold yet. When they are, I'll give them a go. I'm just about committed now. 3,500 feet. Leaving the hill. Got no choice now. I might make it back, but I'm not sure. This is me. I'll either go up or I won't. I've no idea where my friend Steve is. I think he's still on the hill, but I'm not sure. So I've got to concentrate now in not losing this thermal.
Okay, I finally managed to leave the hill. Darren's already gone, so he's doing really well. I'm off at 4,600 feet. Just a couple of kilometres over the back. Approaching cloud base really. So I think the best thing is just see where we can get to with this. Only another 168 kilometres to go. A little disappointed on doing this on my own actually. But such is life.
Nearly a cloud base, 5,100 feet, and I'm flipping freezing. I'm glad I put lots of layers on. It's like ice up here. Woohoo! Look how high up I am. Woohoo! Oh yeah! This is what hang gliding is all about. Can't stay in this thermal much longer because I'll be in the clouds. So I'm definitely leaving the hill. Well, I've left it actually, and I'm on my way. Might be me on the thermal, but I've had a good flight already. I'm hoping for more though. Well, I've been getting snowed on, and frozen on, and hailed on.
Right, I'm directly over Castle Howard. So about 40 kilometres over the back. was getting a little bit lower, down to around about 4,000 feet, but I'm climbing out now. The base is about 5,500, so that's not bad for this time of year. And I'm supremely happy I've got the varmints with me today, because it is chuffing cold. I've actually been snowed on. It's the first time I've been snowed on while flying. Terrible. We're up to 5,000 feet now, which is good. Right, this is kind of petering out. I'm going to run out of day if I don't press on.
So unfortunately on this flight, with it being absolutely freezing up there, it was like -10 I think. This frame that you can see here is the last bit of my GoPro recording footage, and this is where the GoPro died. And you can see, looking at my face, this is one of my favourite pictures, that I was absolutely bitterly cold up there. So I'm not able to show you the rest of the flight live footage, but what I am going to do is I'm going to show you the track log and talk you through, and this is a bit of a cross-country analysis. I talked about doing cross-country analysis, so now I'm going to talk you through that cross-country and how it actually went. So I've got my track log here. Let's see if I can get it on. Ta-da! So I'll just explain to you how this track log works. So the red line that you can see in the main part of the screen is the actual line of my flight, and the little bat shows where I am at a given point in that flight, so I can move it. If you look at the bottom of the screen, you'll see some what look like mountains, the red mountains. That's actually my track log in terms of the height. It shows how high I was at any given point. And underneath that you can see a brown section, and that's the height of the land, of the ground that I'm above. So you can see how close I am to the ground, as well as just my height above sea level. This is an excellent app on the internet called FlyXC. I say to anybody, use that app. I use it for planning cross countries and also for looking afterwards at my cross country flight and how it went. So as you can see on this particular flight, it starts off, this map now is zoomed in on Model Ridge, and you can see where I took off, which was just here, and then flew around a bit here. And you can see I got a bit of a thermal coming out initially here, which didn't work that well for us. But the wind was off to the northwest, and as you can see, the thermal that I got that took me away from the hill, this one here, the direction of the thermal is from the northwest. So I'll just explain this. Where you can see these little coils, that's me turning in circles and in the thermal being blown with the wind. So whereas the circles look elongated, they're actually not. They're actually proper circles, but because the wind is blowing me over the ground, that effect makes it look elongated on there. So whenever you see any circles like that on the track log, that's me using a thermal. And as you look at the bottom of the height indicator, you can see I'm going up quite strongly in this thermal. So that was my thermal that took me away from the hill, and at this point I'm probably not going to be able to fly back to the hill because of the wind strength, and I'm now round about cloud base, straight lining it, across the North Yorkshire moors. So I got some bit of Carlton here, and in this area, this is probably somewhere around here where my GoPro died, I think. and then I've got another bit of a thermal. I'm just going up slowly here. So what I'm doing here is the initial thermal was really quite strong, but the later thermals were a little bit weak, and you can see from this thermal, if you look at the bottom, the line on the bottom, you can see it's quite weak. I'm going up slowly. And then at that point, I go on a glide, and I'm going down very steeply, all the way to a place called Castle Howard. Now at this point, I was getting quite low. In fact, let me put labels on, you'll see. Bear with me a second. Oh, it's not. It should be showing my height, but it isn't. Anyway, at this point I was getting quite low, and I thought I was going to land at this point. The Castle Howard was a lovely big landing field that I looked at. I thought, yeah, I can land in there. But then as I'm doing that, I found another thermal. So up I went again, and as you can see, I'm being blown with the wind, with the thermal. The thermal's going with the wind, and I'm using that thermal, gradually going up and up, until I ran out of thermal and lost it. Either lost it or the thermal stopped. You see, and you can see by the steepness of these lines on the bottom on the bottom of the display that the thermals are actually not very strong. I'm going along and up not quite as fast. So what I'm doing is I'm utilising as much of that thermal, staying in the thermal as long as I can, even when it's quite weak, because I'm realising by this point that the conditions are a lot weaker than they initially were, so I need to make full use of those thermals, otherwise I'll find myself on the ground. And again, on another bit of a glide, keep going, and I'm getting really quite low again here. But at this point, I'm getting to the stage where in the distance I can see the River Humber, which you can see at the bottom of my screen now. Getting lower and lower and lower. Again, I'm considering a landing here, but as you can see, as I'm considering this landing, I'm sort of over undulating ground, and I'm looking at all the different areas where I might land in this area. And again, I gradually picked up a little bit of a thermal. It was very weak, but took me up nice and slowly, but consistently. Lost it a bit there, found it again, keep going up, and I'm just consistently staying with that thermal all the way back up to around about 4,000 feet. Now at this stage, I'm getting a lot closer to the River Humber. I'm getting closer to Hull. I can see Hull approaching me, and it was really quite dim and dark was the sky. There was no or very little sun on the ground, so I knew there wasn't going to be many thermals generated. And the other point I have to tell you at this point is I was personally getting really, really cold. My fingers were like ice blocks. My toes, I couldn't feel them. And this is where I started to shiver. And I was starting to think at this point, I just want to get down. But I really did want to get over the River Humber. So, close that thermal. I found a bit of a sunny patch here, just before Hull. And that sunny patch again, I found another bit of a thermal, went up with it, back up to 4,000 feet. And that really gave me the height to nice and easily glide over the River Humber. So I took a glide over the River Humber, and actually, while I was in the middle of the River Humber, I found a little bit of a thermal here. It went along rather than up, it wasn't very strong. But it was rude not to have a little turn in it, so I had a little go. And then I just thought, right, I've got to the other side of the River Humber, I just want to land, because I am freezing to death. So at this point, where I'm at, I took a glide down, and I had a really nice landing in this field here. And that was the end of my flight. So, just in recap, in that flight, it started off with strong thermals. I was up at cloud base, staying up at cloud base, but then the conditions got weaker as I went along, so I had to make maximum use of those thermals. And that's what I would say when the thing I would take from this flight, from a cross-country point of view, is you have to judge when it's racing conditions, when you can go fast, and when you've actually got to make maximum use of those thermals and stay with them even though they're quite weak. So that initially it was quite strong, stayed with it, and then I could go on some glides, but then as the thermals got weaker and weaker and were taking me not quite as high, I spent a lot more time just staying with those thermals. So that's that for that flight. It was a total of 112 kilometres, so that was a really good early cross-country for the year. Really pleased with that. And I'll be doing some more cross-country analysis soon. See you next time.